insurance. That law, unfortunately, was the wrong law, the wrong way to do it. And men and women throughout our Hudson Valley have told me, again, individuals, small businesses have told me that the only thing they've experienced almost universally is that it's become harder to afford their health insurance, not easier. That's a burden, that's a problem that you should not have and you don't deserve. What should we do differently? I would repeal that law and replace it, not return to what we had before. We need to do better, but how can we do better? 4-point plan. If they said, Nan, it's your job to do this, give us the plan. 1, make health savings accounts easy for everybody to get. The state of Indiana has done it in a great way for its state employees and Medicaid recipients. Healthy Indiana plan. Health savings accounts for everyone. Open up the insurance marketplace so that people can enjoy the benefits of choice and competition. Most folks in that case will buy catastrophic insurance at a much lower cost that covers the big expenses, which is what you need insurance for. 3, let's solve the uniquely American problem of excess liability, jackpot justice, defensive medicine with real liability reform. That is crucial. And that's the 3rd element. 4, if we do those things for a very small amount, a very small surcharge per policy per month, we could fund all the needs of folks who have trouble obtaining insurance because of things like pre-existing conditions. We can do these things if we have the right attitude in Washington, and I intend to provide that for you.
Sean, what is your position on affordable health care?
The most important debate we're having right now about affordable health care involves Medicare. And the fact of the matter is I think it is a terrible, terrible mistake. The Ryan budget, which has been passed twice by the current Congressional House of Representatives, would end the guaranteed benefit of Medicare. It would break the Medicare promise once and for all. We've kept Medicare going for 47 years through all kinds of crises and all kinds of troubles. But the current gang in Washington wants to end the guaranteed benefit of Medicare. And they want to do that to give huge tax cuts disproportionately to the very wealthiest in our society. I think that's wrong. They also want to defund Planned Parenthood, which is a critically important organization here in the Hudson Valley. 31,000 families would not be getting health care if it weren't for Planned Parenthood. They would destroy that organization. And let's be very clear. Planned Parenthood, over 90% of what it does is provide breast cancer screenings, cervical cancer screenings, prenatal services, STT infection services. This is a critical part of the health care of the Hudson Valley. So to cripple Planned Parenthood and to end the guaranteed benefit of Medicare is exactly the wrong approach. Now, Healthy Indiana, we hear a lot about Healthy Indiana. This is a program that people on the other side of the aisle love to talk about. The fact of Healthy Indiana is that Healthy Indiana doesn't cover whole areas of services like maternity services, and Healthy Indiana was going broke until Governor Mitch Daniels bailed it out with, wait for it, stimulus dollars. The very stimulus dollars that Republicans have been complaining about actually bailed out Healthy Indiana because it wasn't working. And it had a huge deductible that people can't pay, and it's got all kinds of other problems that cap your benefits. So just like ending the guaranteed benefit of Medicare, Healthy Indiana's bright idea is that if we cap your benefits, if we don't give you as much as you need, we'll save some money. We can do much better than that, and we should fix what's wrong with the current health care law, but keep going forward.
Nan, with job growth and business development at the forefront of this year's campaign, how would you propose to reform our educational system to help equip our young people for the new economy?
This is a crucial concern for our communities, for our parents, for, of course, the children who need the best training and the best education. We are so fortunate, so blessed in Dutchess County to have Dutchess Community College, to have Marist College, to have Vassar College. Marvelous institutions, of course, of advanced education. We need to provide the K through 12 strength that will get our students there and beyond. And of course, we need to respect the full range of vocations and professions that Americans deserve to have. So I would certainly do far more to empower our local communities. I sat down with Mayor Tyzik and with several pastors from the city of Poughkeepsie, and just to listen to their concerns. And they shared with me that their primary concern was with how our children were educated in their neighborhood schools right here in Poughkeepsie. And they want the power and the ability to control those resources within the community. Right now, we have a federal government that is taking from you, taking the products of your labor from you, your tax dollars, and somehow endeavoring to micromanage education in our communities. And it just doesn't work. What we need to do is to let those dollars remain with you so that our communities together can determine how to incentivize the best teachers, motivate the best students, reward excellence in education, sponsor charter schools that actually change the direction of education in innovative ways with the communities empowered to do those things. We have to listen to, respect, and respond to, and keep resources here in our community.
Sean, with job growth and business development at the forefront of this year's campaign, how would you propose to reform our educational system to help equip our young people for the new economy?
Well, this is very important. I think when I was in the governor's office, I focused a lot on education. I'm very proud that we increased K-12 funding to record levels. We settled the Campaign for Fiscal Equity lawsuit. We took education funding from about $17 billion when we started up to, the plan was to $24 billion. We didn't quite get there because of the recession, but to about $22 billion a year. That's very important, and try to get those dollars to the communities who needed them the most. I also ran the program to create an endowment for the SUNY CUNY system, so they, like the private universities, would have a large endowment which they could use to fully fund the capital plan, hire 2,500 new faculty, invest in research and other new facilities. And this is a critically important part of our economic development, is to support public education for our kids. I think it's terrible kids come out of school with so much debt right now. I am a huge fan of letting kids pay down their college loans by community service, either in the military or working for their communities. I think it is wonderful if they could pay back loans as a percentage of their future income. I don't think we should be cutting Pell Grants like the current Republican Congress wants to do. And we must invest in community colleges more. We must invest in technical training more, because education increasingly must be about employment. It must be about moving into the workforce. I see too many kids in the Hudson Valley coming back home and living with their folks after 4 years of school, coming home with nothing but debt and no job. And this is a scandal. With the cost of college education is way too high in America, and it has too little to do with having a career and moving forward. We need to focus on getting people skills. And I think working and middle class people especially need to be in an economy where they can get the skills they need and the training they need along the way. It's why when I was down yesterday at the training program for the steam fitters and the plumbers, these are programs that move young kids and young adults into a trade. That's the kind of thing we need to support, and that's the kind of educational reform I'd like to see in Hudson Valley.
Sean, last night in the presidential debate, we heard the candidates refer over and over to the middle class, but we heard little about the poor. What policies do you recommend for the poorest and the weakest in America?
When I got out of college, I'd been accepted to law school, but I spent a year of my life working in a very poor area of Peru called Chimbote, in a little town outside of it called Samanco. Chimbote is a city of about 300,000 people living in very severe poverty, huddled around a couple of fish meal factories and a steel plant. I went there with the Jesuit program and worked alongside folks who had devoted their lives, because of their faith, to trying to show up with the poorest of the poor, who saw their relationship with Christ through building solidarity with people at the very margins of society. This is what I spent a year of my life doing, and what I learned in that experience is that we've got to keep investing in people. We can't leave anybody behind. We can't cut Head Start programs for kids and expect them to do as well. We can't end the guaranteed benefit of Medicare and expect people to be able to provide for themselves independently. We've got to make good choices, and we've got to break our addiction to spend more than we take in. Yes, but we also have to believe that we've all got to contribute and pay our fair share. And so I think it's absolutely important that we as a society judge ourselves by how we treat the least fortunate among us. My mom, every week of her life, delivered Meals on Wheels. I used to go with her and run up the steps and bring hot meals to seniors. My dad used to run Daffodil Days in our town to help folks with cancer. I mean, it starts with each one of us, right? And I think the Chamber is such a great example of that, because all of you don't just come together to promote your businesses, you come together to promote your community. You come together to help one another and to look out for the folks who are struggling here locally. When we start dividing America into, the 47% who's productive and not, and all that kind of rhetoric, it turns my stomach. We are in this together, and I think in the Clinton administration we had the policies to move this all forward together.
Nan, last night in the presidential debate, we heard the candidates refer over and over to the middle class, but we heard little about the poor. What policies do you recommend for the poorest and the weakest in America?
Well, Charlie, for 3 years, I did my medical training in New York City, and for 3 full years of my ophthalmology residency, I cared for the poorest of the poor, and it was always a great privilege to provide them with the dignity and respect that they deserved, and to give my best to them. I care very much about making sure that we can afford every one of us, everyone in our community, the life that Americans expect to lead with dignity in a community that enjoys an abundance of the necessities of life, but also the riches that our culture can provide. The best way to do that is to have an economy that grows and will support the crucial work that we need to do together in all respects. So when we allow you as a business community to invest locally, to grow your businesses, to use the energy and the dedication, the devotion, the care that you put into what you do, to translate that into dollars that you can use to provide jobs to others, to hire others, who then have the dignity of a job, have the dignity of opportunity, can lift themselves out of poverty. That's a wonderful help. That's the greatest, that's the essence of being American. That's why my mother came here from England with almost nothing but her own energy and dignity to this country in 1948 to build a life for herself. And when we put those folks to work, then they contribute their dollars to the work of our government in maintaining the safety net that we all agree, including Medicare, which we in the House majority have been working with all our might to save. We can do those great things together.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for I give you both a lot of credit. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. And you folks are out there wanting to do this. No matter what side of the aisle you favor, you both deserve kudos for stepping up to the plate and trying to make changes and keeping our country live and vibrant and economically sound. So I think they, again, deserve a round of applause. We're going to have our closing statements. I'm going to ask Sean Patrick Maloney to start. Sean?
Well, excuse me. Well, thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Frank. Thank you to everyone this morning. Look, it's true that the Congresswoman and I have sharp differences, but I also respect her service and I salute that. And I know from my experience in the public sector how hard it is to do her job, and I disagree with her very, very passionately about the future of the Hudson Valley, but I want to salute her for doing this with me, and I know how hard it is. Look, this election is a choice. The voters have nominated each of us to stand here before you and to debate the future. So let's have that debate. I think this is a choice between a Bill Clinton Democrat and a conservative member of the Tea Party who just have very different visions of America. My vision is to do what works, to balance the budget the right way. to grow this economy, to get money back in people's pockets. When I was in the White House, we brought the deficit down every year. We asked the very wealthiest to pay a little more. We cut government red tape. We reinvented government. We downsized agencies. We did what works. And the result was the longest period of economic expansion in American history. 800,000 jobs right here in New York. And we brought the deficit down to zero, ran surpluses. And if we had left those policies in place, just left them in place, we would not have a $16 trillion debt. Our debt today would be zero. We would have a debt-free country if we had just kept Bill Clinton's policies in place. And think about what we could do if we were a debt-free country. Think of the investments we can make in our communities, in our infrastructure, in our educational institutions, in our kids. These are choices we're making. This is what Congress does. I think the choices being made now are the wrong ones. I think Congress is broken. You've seen it. This Tea Party platform is not working. It is wrong to end the guaranteed benefit of Medicare. It is wrong to destroy Planned Parenthood, which is a critically important healthcare provider for our communities. And it's wrong to do it when we ask no sacrifices of those at the very top. There are no sacrifices in the Ryan budget for people like the Congresswoman and me who have been fortunate enough to do well. What is our sacrifice? If our sacrifice is to get another tax cut, I think that's wrong, and I think it divides America. And it will not balance the budget. It'll blow a hole in the deficit, a $5 trillion hole over the next 10 years, and we will never get back to zero in terms of paying down the deficit. We've been here before, and we can go forward together. But we've got to do what works. We've got to do what we've seen work, and what works is coming together, asking everybody to pitch in, pay their fair share, cut spending, you bet, but also ask the wealthiest to kick in as well. And if we do it together, we can grow the economy again. We can pay down the deficit to zero again. And we can move forward as one community. I'm asking for your support and your vote on November 6th. And thank you for your this opportunity to speak to you this morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, Congresswoman Nan Hayworth.
Thank you, Cheryl. I remember 3 years ago when I was candidate, Nan Hayworth. It is a privilege always to be with you. It is a warm, familiar feeling that I have here because, of course, I'm one of you. I have lived in the Hudson Valley for 24 years. I've raised my children here. I have cared for patients here. I established my practice here and built it from scratch, using the same kind of dedication and effort that you bring to what you do. We can deal with theoreticals, we can think about what if, but right now, we can think about the past, but right now we have to think together about what we face on the ground here in the Hudson Valley that I know so well because I have been among you and visiting our community organizations, our small businesses, our gatherings, small and large, of all kinds of groups, including, of course, our veterans, our seniors, and the Chamber. And I commend you for all that you do. I want to be your partner in growing and thriving and doing so much better than we are doing now. Having had years of federal policies that have seen you and your hard work as a source of revenues for a federal government that has gone too far. Even if those reasons have been well-meaning, we have a federal government that right now spends more than $1 trillion every year, more than $1 trillion beyond what it takes in. If you ran your businesses that way, you would be out, as everyone here knows, if you ran your business that way without a budget, you'd be out of business in a heartbeat, and that would do no one any good. I want to see you do far better. We need to lift tax burdens. You are seen, when you run your small business, you know, as an individual, so many people here, even when it's a pass-through, you are seen as rich. When they say millionaire, they mean small businesses, and it's way below $1 million that they're talking about in terms of income, in terms of what they want to tap into. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. We need to provide opportunity for everyone who needs it by lifting those tax burdens, by lifting regulatory burdens that are getting in your way in ways that do not need to be. We can be smart, we can be sensible, we can lower your energy costs, and we can do it